My name is Mark Brill. I am a commercial illustrator, and I'd like to call myself a fine artist, but I don't think I can. So, so I just stick with commercial illustrator most of the time. I am fezzed because I have joined Claw. I'm Claw member number 9, and it's a cartoonist organization. I'm attempting to embrace my inner cartoonist. This is one of my paper sculptures, actually. I did paper sculpture for a while, and this is one of my great flaws as an artist is the fact that I've never quite nailed myself down to one specific medium or style or genre. So for the last 25 years, I've been working as a working professional artist, but I've never really nailed down a specific direction. I did 4 covers for the Star Trek DS9 comic book. That was in the late 90s. And I did about 30 Magic cards, Magic the Gathering. And I did about 30 Hecatomb cards, which was a game that Wizards of the Coast created that disappeared almost immediately. I even did some Harry Potter cards. Yeah. Let's see, this piece was on a card that somebody actually won like second place in a tournament with, a national tournament with. So it had a bit of fame for a while. So there were a couple of events that I went to, Magic the Gathering tournaments and signings, where people kept asking me to redraw this on their little on the mats that they play on and stuff like that. So I was always drawing, and I trained a little bit with my grandfather. He was a commercial artist, or he would have been a commercial artist. He went to the Art Institute of Chicago, but he ultimately dropped out because he went to World War II. So I was one of his burgeoning students, but I was a lousy student. I always have been. But I never really went to art school. I was accepted at the Art Institute of Houston and then transferred to the Art Institute of Seattle. But I never really went because I had to get a job to pay for things like tuition, and once I was working and everything, it almost seemed kind of pointless to go to art school. Although now, looking back on it, I wish I had. My influences have been a lot of it has been representational painters. Like the brothers Hildebrandt were a big influence as far as acrylic painting goes. Robert Motherwell. And they, especially with Robert Motherwell's paintings, are just big splashes of stuff on, on these big canvases. They don't represent anything, and yet there's something about them that I can appreciate, that I'm drawn to. One person I really love, and he doesn't have a real huge name except in his own industry, but that's Drew Struzan. He painted lots of movie posters. So that was his thing. He was composing these big, huge, beautiful movie posters. I was always kind of a photorealist, when I was growing up, and I really liked just as real as possible. But I've noticed as I've gotten older, I've begun to appreciate more of the kind of abstract work and things with a little more atmosphere and a little more feeling to them. So I've started trying to loosen up a bit. That's one reason why I became a member of Claw. I'm trying to embrace my inner cartoonist, trying to loosen up and not be so rigid when I'm drawing. I've always been a big, sci-fi geek. I've always liked, I like Star Trek and Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars just changed my life. That was just when I was 13 when Star Wars came out. So I was at the perfect age. I mean, that movie was made for me. A lot of times when I'll work, I'll listen to books on tape, while I'm painting and stuff. So Arthur C. Clarke books and Anne McCaffrey books, things like that. It isn't necessarily the story I'm listening to. I'm kind of just immersing myself in the world. So much like Leonardo, I like to keep this with me. He had his till the day he died. I don't know if this will last that long, but this was a piece that I did. Just to show my just intense geekiness, because years ago there was a fad of translating literary works into Klingon, such as Hamlet and just books and things into Klingon. And it was kind of a Star Trek subculture sort of thing. And I thought, well, if we're going to translate, classic literature into Klingon, then the Klingons would naturally want to, claim responsibility for, great paintings and things as well. When I was younger, I wanted to be, I always wanted to be the next big thing, the next Boris Vallejo, or the next, the next Drew Struzan, or the next, somebody like that, big and famous and everything. But I've gotten to a point in my life where I would like to just find some specific thing that I'm particularly good at and just focus on that. Alas, poor Yorick. I knew him, Horatio. Sorry.